In this video, I'm going to be talking about my rock bottom with marijuana. Stay tuned. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode here at Sobriety University. On this channel, we talk about addiction and recovery-related topics. My name is Joel, and in this video, we're going to be talking about my rock bottom with marijuana. So first question might be, what is a rock bottom? Well, it's a term kind of thrown around in the recovery community that basically just means the lowest of the low, where life is just at its worst, where it's like, how could it get any worse than this? And I've experienced a lot of those along my journey in various different forms. With marijuana, it came kind of multiple times, but there was one really big one that kind of set into motion getting clean and sober. And so that's what I'm going to be talking to you about today. So before we begin, like, comment, subscribe, really helps with the channel. Also, just want to let you know that I just started recovery one-on-one coaching. I'm brand new to this, so I'm a little nervous and a little excited, and would ask that you just please help me out, get this going. First 5 people that apply for each of the different programs are going to get it for free, so that's pretty cool. And I definitely look forward to working with you and helping you find that freedom that I know I so desperately wanted when I was trapped in my addiction. One of those times being what I'm about to share with you right now. So what happened was I was dealing pot. That was my main addiction, was marijuana. And I was in a really low spot mentally. I had been working on like mental health stuff for a couple years now, and I hadn't gotten anywhere, so it felt. I had gone to so many therapists, so many counselors, had tried 10 different medications, did even like this electroshock therapy kind of thing. It's called TMS. It's not like in the old days where they would just like zap you. It's like a more like, they send signals into the certain pathways in the brain with like a little tap thing. So it goes like, and I did a ton of sessions of it. And because I was smoking marijuana so much, I didn't really get the benefits, which is kind of sad. I didn't know that the marijuana was hindering all those other things from kind of manifesting. So basically, yeah, I was at a wit's end. I tried all these things. I was feeling super hopeless, and that just led me to smoke even more. And of course, because I was just in such a sedated place, I didn't really want to go to work. I was super lazy. And the idea of having to get up every day and go to a job was just like, God forbid. So I decided to take the easy way out, which was selling dope. And although there was some fun moments of it, like basically getting the first pound of weed, being able to buy stuff, having tons of money, and being able to smoke for free. For free, because I was smoking so much, I don't know if I was really smoking for free. Probably ended up like breaking even or whatever. The consequences were way worse. And I'm going to tell you a little story before I dive into how it got really bad. Basically, this story is the universe saying, you're on thin ice, bud. So a buddy and I, we had been deciding to deal together. I had already gotten the thing going, had a guy I was working with. He was my supplier, and basically this next guy I was gonna be his supplier. And we had his first pound of weed, and we decided to go get a scale. And he had bought like a big kitchen scale, like so you couldn't measure out like small increments, so grams. So you couldn't weigh out an eighth, you can only weigh out like a pound, which no one was buying just a pound, at least most people weren't, besides us. So we laid it on my bed in my room, and I lived in like a house, so I had like a very small room, and we just put the scale and the pound of weed on the bed, closed the door, and we went out to the smoke shop to get a smaller scale. Now, this is fucking crazy. We come back, and there's a realtor showing the house to a couple. And there, we walk up the stairs, and there's all our rooms. So there's 1, 2, 3 rooms. I was on the very far one, and they were on room 1. So they were like, they're just coming out of it to go to room 2. And we quick scurry over to my room. We open the door, and of course, the first thing we see is a pound of weed and a scale. So we were about this close to getting absolutely busted. And for some reason, we happened to come back at just the right time. And of course, we were like, dude, fuck yeah, we just outdid the system. Let's celebrate. Let's smoke some weed. And of course, that's what we did. Little did we know that that was a fair warning that, hey boy, knock this shit out or else there's gonna be serious consequences. And those serious consequences came in full force. The first one was the guy I was starting to sell to, the one who had bought the scale originally. He got held up a few weeks later. So he had a pound of weed. He was selling to some guys. We were at another buddy's house, and he went out the back to get in the guy's car. Windows were all tinted. But yeah, we were just so focused on that cash. And he comes back just kind of like shaking. And we're like, dude, what's going on? And he got a gun pulled out on him when he got in the car. They held it to his head, and they said, give us the weed and whatever money you have. And so he got robbed. And it was definitely a blow for both of us, because now I was out money. He had to pay me back. And it was just super traumatic for him. That was another warning. Did we stop? No, we kept going, because we're fucking idiots. So we kept going, and my rock bottom started where I had my burner phone, which is, if anyone knows what that is, it's basically the phone I use to text my dealer and the people I sell to. So it's like a track phone, basically. So I just bought minutes. This way it couldn't get tracked to my actual account, which I was still under my parents at the time. They were paying for my phone bill, so I did not want them seeing this, obviously. And so I had lost my burner phone one day. I don't know what happened. It just straight up disappeared one night. I had it in the night, I woke up and I couldn't find it. And it was the weirdest thing. I looked everywhere. And for anyone that smokes weed, you probably know the experience of paranoia. And that is what came on full force. Man, I was losing it. I had a roommate at the time that was kind of like trying to convince me to quit. And I got super paranoid that he took it. I got super paranoid that one of our other roommates, he was like in grad school, so he didn't really kind of associate with us that much. He had like a wife, he was from China. I thought he took it because he was sick of me smelling up the house with weed and like turning to the cops. And I was just losing my mind. And I was on a run that day, and I literally had a moment where I stopped. I got on my knees and I said, God, if you help me get out, like not get in trouble, I will stop dealing, I swear. And nothing happened, no consequences came with that phone. It just was lost in the ether somewhere. And did I listen? Well, you can probably guess the answer to that. No, I kept going. And that's just the insanity of addiction. It's like when all the buttons or when all the signs are pointing to stop, it's like, why? How would I stop when I could keep going? It's insane, even when the consequences are just literally gut punching us in the stomach. And I was getting just walloped left and right. So the big rock bottom moment came a few weeks later. This is what I think was karma from the universe for making that prayer, having the universe listen and then basically dishonoring it. Well, one night, I say this as I'm about to say this story, I'm like, wow, it was so stupid. I had a habit of leaving my keys in the door. The weed didn't help for sure, because I was just like, last thing I wanted to do was remember anything. And so I left my keys in the door. I had some buddies that I was dealing with. We all came in, and I didn't grab the keys. And the next day I came back from work and the back door was open. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. And it was just left open, like it wasn't even closed. I go up to my room. Backpack was empty that I had weed in. Pound of weed was gone. Actually, it might have been a couple pounds. Had an ounce of dabs, gone. Had a few $1,000s, gone. All that, basically, what I think the people that I was with the night before grabbed the keys and gave it to some guy, or came back themselves and took it. And yeah, it was just, it was absolutely devastating. It was so much money, and it was one of the biggest traumatic experiences I've experienced for sure. It was totally warranted. So this is at no means a pity party, like, oh man, poor guy. No, I deserved it. I didn't listen to the universe. I was lying, I was stealing, I was cheating, I was selling drugs. This was just a consequence, and I'm thankful that I didn't go to jail. So that happened. I was losing my shit. I called my dealer, because he was actually a buddy. Like, we had mutual acquaintances, and I liked the dude. He was like a hard dude, and I respected him. And so I'm like, bro, like, what do I do, man? And I knew he was on my side. So he's like, well, first off, we got to get the weed back. Do you know who it was? And I said, I have an idea who it was, but I'm not sure yet. And he's like, well, you got to get it, or otherwise I'm calling my boys down from Chicago, and they're gonna take care of it. And I'm like, I was like, fuck, like this is not how I thought this experience was gonna go. So we had an idea of who took it. I'm sure there were some people lying in the whole situation, but we had an idea, and we were gonna confront the person. And the person that I thought had taken it had a history of just kind of crazy behavior, like getting arrested and stuff. And I thought, okay, we go after this dude. Who is he going to come after when all's said and done? He's not going to go after my dealer. He's not going to go after the guys from Chicago. He's going to come after me. And that was enough to kind of be like, okay, fuck, I got to do something else here. I can't go after him. I got to take this loss as much as it hurts and move on. So I got in the car with my dealer. He would pick me up and we'd go cruise around. This is when I would pick up weed from him. And I'm like, hey man, listen, I don't want anything crazy to happen. We don't know for sure if it's him. We've both done some shitty shit in our lives. Let's not build any more karma. Dude, I will pay you back. I will work my ass off to get you the money. And he thought about it for a minute. And he's like, okay, you're right. And I just went, I can still feel the relief from that moment right now. And I knew from that moment, life was gonna get really hard. Life was gonna be a grind for a while. I had a lot of work to do. I had a lot of work to do spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. And I knew this was the change that was about to happen. The game was over, the fantasy, the illusion was over. And so what I did was I met with him every week. We'd go to a donut shop. I would basically bust ass doing deliveries, and I'd take about $800 every week, and I would buy a couple donuts, and I would eat one for myself, and put $800 in the bag and give it to him. And that was it, and it went on until I paid him back the full amount, which was about 10 grand. And it was such a traumatic experience that really pushed me into a new way of being in life. What's crazy is I didn't stop dealing after that. Once I started paying him back, I was done by then. But the period between when I got robbed and when I started paying him back, which was about 2 months, I kept dealing. And that's just the insanity of it. I couldn't stop. And I got in trouble with the police. I'll link that video down below. My last night smoking weed. That was literally the last night I smoked weed. And that was my final warning. That was my final wake up. That was my final, we're gonna let you go this time. And I listened. Thankfully, that time I listened. I'm here today. I'm not in prison, which I'm super, super thankful for. I would not have done well in prison. And super grateful that I've turned a new leaf and that the universe has guided me to do this. And now I get to share this experience with you, which is just unbelievable. And so that was my rock bottom. It is something that I will remember for the rest of my life. I really have my parents to thank for it because they also helped me they gave me a few, I think $4,500 so I could pay my dealer right away. So he had something to give to his dealer because his dealer was gonna be like, dude, why are you short 10,000? And so mom and dad, if you watch this, thank you so much. It was a lifesaver, and I'm just gonna do you guys justice by being able to pay this back in other ways. I was able to pay my folks back, which felt really good, and it was a huge maturity process. That was a couple years ago. And it's really nice not to owe them money anymore. And I'm sure they're happy that I don't owe them any money anymore. And I'm sure they're happy that I don't owe them money anymore and that I'm not smoking weed. So it's just come full circle, and I'm just so happy for it. And thank you guys so much for watching and listening to this story. It was crazy to reminisce on the experience. And I invite you to kind of comment down below or even email me directly what your rock bottom experience is or was. I would love to hear about it. I'm curious on what you did to get out of it, if that's something you've achieved or have gotten to. And if you're still in it, let me know how I can help. Would love to talk to you about it. I know what it's like. It's painful. It's frustrating. It can be scary. and you can definitely get out of it. If I can get out of it, 100% you can get out of it. So one more time, guys, like, comment, subscribe, and if you want coaching, link will be down below. Have a great night and talk to you soon. Peace.